Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here in the rain today, in the forest, to do what I normally do, which is give my thoughts and opinions on what's happening in the world, my thoughts and opinions on what's happening in the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. Pleasure to have you here. If you're a returning subscriber, all 710 of you now, I believe it is, welcome back. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here and to have you join me for these walks. So thank you very much for being here, one and all. So I'm walking along with a lightning rod today. I'm hoping that in this rainy weather I'm not going to get struck by lightning, but I'll try to avoid it. But if I do, at least we'll have an accurate record of what happens when you walk along with a selfie stick in the rain and the weather. So okay, so today I'm going to borrow the title of this video from Dave over at the X22 report. And I'm going to title this Warfare of an Unconventional Method. Okay, now this is going to touch on a lot of different subjects, but I've been promising to do a video about trans people, the community at large. Okay, now this isn't picking on anybody, this isn't hating on anyone, but I wanted to point out a few inconsistencies with what's going on with lots of different areas. So bear with me, stay with me, and see what you think at the end. And if you agree, then great. If you don't, then let's have a conversation about it, because that's what this is all about, having a conversation, starting conversations about subjects we're told we're not allowed to talk about. And you know, while we're told we're not allowed to talk about things, Dave Chappelle, Dave Chappelle's a comedian. He did a joke the other day where he was talking about trans people, and cancel culture tried to cancel him. That didn't work out too well, now did it? This cancel culture movement is ridiculous, divisive, and utterly reprehensible. We're going to get into that. Okay, so let's start in Hollywood. I mean, that cesspool of filth in Hollywood, okay? Now, there was a big furore a few years ago about actors playing roles of characters that were cast for different minority groups. Okay, so let's just say, for instance, that you had a white actor playing a role that was originally written for a black character or a black person to play the role. Okay, and then the same with Mexicans and India, American Indians, and across the board, that we had this massive kickoff about people, should be playing the role that it was originally written for. I agree, I do. If the role is written for a Mexican, I think a Mexican person should play it. Okay, I absolutely 100% agree. Now, should we take that on to the next step? And then the logical next step with everything that's going on right now. So if we say that, okay, if a role is written for a Mexican, then a Mexican should play it, right? If a role is written for a straight person, should a straight person play that role? Well, I'm inquisitive. What do you think? We know that a lot of Hollywood is gay. Cool. I don't care. I've got gay friends. I've got trans friends. I accept people for who they are. Now, in our world where we are, anybody, all of us, all we all want is the same thing, is love and acceptance. It is. It's love and acceptance. That's what we're aiming for. That's what we're striving for. That's what we all want, love and acceptance for who we are. We might all be different. You might be a goth and dress different from everybody else. However you view yourself. All we want is just love and acceptance. That's all we want. But the problem is that these ridiculous arguments keep getting injected into our psyche through these loudmouth. Why these people have a platform, I have no idea. But I suppose it could be the same. It said the same for me. But I don't have a platform that has the media being the loudspeaker for that. Does that make sense? And the only people that have that media loudspeaker are the people that shouldn't have it. Okay, let's not use that argument and say you shouldn't have a voice, but there should be an equal voice to rebut those kind of arguments. But there's not. So when someone's brought out to say, wow, we need to stand for trans rights and stand for gay rights, yeah, cool. Yeah, they're people. I love them and I accept them for who they are. But don't push your belief on me. Now, when we get to this whole gender and gender identity and cisgender and 50 different genders that we're talking about at the moment, it gets to be so ridiculous that it's the muddying of the waters so much that no one knows what to think anymore. And if you dare to think outside the box, or if you dare to question things and say, hold on a minute, that doesn't make any sense, then you're a transphobe, or it's ridiculous. It is utterly, totally ridiculous. Now, this whole Hollywood thing with the roles, there's a lot of gay actors in Hollywood. If we're going to take that whole idea that only people that play the role of specific characters who were written for or written in a particular way, like the whole Superman thing going on right now. I mean, honestly, trying to portray Superman or Superman's child, I don't even know because I didn't want to look at it, it's just ridiculous, as gay or bisexual or whatever they're trying to say, is utterly ridiculous. Now, if you're in the LGBTQ plus community, congratulations. If within your community you feel that you need to have a superhero to represent, the gay community or the trans community or whatever nomenclature you want to use, then make one up. Don't borrow one from existing societal norms and try and fit it into your paradigm. Does that make sense? Like, for instance, there's this whole argument about all the superhero characters are white. No, they're not. No, they're not. Look at Blade. Wesley Snipes' Blade. Awesome representation. Brilliant. Utterly, totally, completely brilliant. No one questioned it. We don't mention that. What about Black Panther? Well, Black Panther. Wow. Black Panthers. What were they? Weren't they a revolutionary group in the 60s? I'm getting off the point. The point I'm trying to get to is that there's so many people screaming for the right to exist and I need attention, that the message is getting lost along the way. What everyone fails to recognise in all these debates, whether you identify as man, woman, no gender, I can't even keep up with the bullshit nowadays. I really can't. I can't keep up with all the stupidity that's coming out. Look, you can choose whatever you want to be. You're an adult. You can choose. If you want to be gay, cool, be gay. You want to be lesbian, you want to be bi, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It's not my life. It's your life. Right? Now, you, in your position, you might not understand a person who wants to live a straight life, get married, have children, go to church, do whatever they want to do. That's not your thing. Cool. That's cool as well. But don't expect everyone else to change to suit you. Just the same way that you want everyone to, you don't want to change to suit them. Don't expect other people to do the same. If you want equality in this world, it has to be equal. Now, I raise this argument because I see a disturbing trend, and it disturbs me so deeply that I have to speak about this. Now, as I've said, I don't care how you identify yourself. It doesn't bother me. It's of no interest to me at all. But there's laws being passed that if you misgender someone, that it's a crime. Like, there are people out there that clearly are men dressed as women. No one cares. It doesn't bother us. I don't understand that. How people live like that. But I don't need to. That's not my life. But don't try and make it a law where it's clearly a man, sometimes has a beard, dressed as a woman, and you're trying to say that I'm causing an issue by saying yes sir, or accidentally, in some cases, misgendering you when you're clearly a man dressed as a woman. Does that make sense? But there's more disturbing trends, and the most disturbing trend about all that's happening, okay? If you're an adult, you get to decide. Don't care. Do what you want. Don't expect society to bow down and praise you. We love and accept you for who you are. Don't get me wrong. I love and accept everybody, But when you're pushing those beliefs onto children, you know, it's fine for children to be introduced to gay people. It's fine for children to be introduced to people from all sorts of spectrums. I don't care where you fit on the spectrum. You know, if you're gay, straight, I don't care, you know. But the pushing that belief system onto children, and a lot of times in a confusing time in children's lives, when children when they're growing up, I've got 3 daughters, you know, and four grandchildren, okay? I don't get to see my grandchildren because they live in Australia, and well, you know, in the freedom that we have the freedom that I can't go and visit my family. That's freedom, apparently. That children go through these periods when they're young of, you know, I'm a cat. My children do it all the time. They pretend to be cats and dogs and all sorts of weird, you know, things. That's what kids do. They experiment. They're out in the world and they want to. They're curious. They're inquisitive. They want to understand what's going on in the world. But then they get these confusing messages from just people that are so far out in the fringe that it confuses them even more. You know, children, they want, you know, an understanding from their parents. They want some guidance. They want some, you know, whether those parents are gay or straight or whatever. You know, this is not a rant about being straight parents and having a man and a woman. That's irrelevant. You know, gay parents raise children, you know, the same as straight parents. It's of no consequence who's the parents, but the children look to the parents for guidance and stability and love and support and acceptance from their parents. But the parents, in a lot of instances, are taking these messages that come from these really out there viewpoints. I mean, really crazy viewpoints that are indoctrinating children into a lifestyle that they don't understand. Now, I'll give you an example. There was a young boy, Desmond is fabulous, I think, something like that. Young boy, about 9 or 10 years old. He was brought out on daytime television, and he's he cross dresses as a girl, and he does a drag show. He's a drag kid. Now, this kid, to have a child like that paraded and in front of adults. Now, there was an instance where he was performing on stage in New York, I think it was, in a club, a gay bar. I've been to plenty of gay bars, so don't write me off as a gay hater. It's just, I know the hate that's going to come from this, and that's cool. But this kid, this 9-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid, whatever he was, performing a drag show in a gay bar, and adults were tossing money at him. Okay? This isn't right. Now, has anybody questioned why the LGBTQ plus community has the plus on the end? Has anybody questioned that? What's the plus for? Okay, now you need to understand that there is an agenda attached to this. Now, we're normalizing, this whole idea that there is no gender, that there's no gender, that there's, it doesn't matter if you're born with female body parts, you're still a male, if you have surgery, look, I can't reinforce this point strong enough. You have to decide what's right for you, but we also need to understand that it's a mental condition that plagues people who feel that they've been born into the wrong body. Okay, it's called body dysmorphia, I think it is, or gender dysmorphia. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I'm right there. Where they feel that they've been born into the wrong body, but it is a mental condition that needs to be treated. And a lot of people, when they go through this, where they get to talk with psychiatrists, psychologists, or people that help them through these problems, a lot of times they recognise that there's issues in their life that have brought them to this point, that have created this place where they feel that they need to change gender. But it is a mental condition. It's a psychological condition. Okay? Now, when we're using this psychological condition to confuse people who are outside of that spectrum, who are considered normal in our society. Well, let's not use normal, because there's no normal in a society that's fundamentally broken as it is. But outside of that mental state, is that a better way to put it? Especially children. I mean, you're bringing children into in their already time of confusion, especially pre-adolescent teens and things like that. It's wrong. It's disgusting, and it's abhorrent. When children are being groomed by adults, it's illegal. But yet this grooming is so subtle that the average person is not picking up on it. Our society, this title that I wanted to use today is Warfare of an Unconventional Method. Our society is being systematically taken to pieces by organisations, entities, and I use that word entities because they're not human, and I mean that in the very literal sense. Entities are just trying to destroy our society from the inside out, trying to tear it apart by using these messages of this confusion messages of that there's no gender, which is utterly ridiculous. There are people that believe otherwise. That's cool. That is such a small minority of the people, but they're trying to normalize this as being everybody thinks that way. Or everyone has to think that way. Now, this is the problem I have with all this is if you don't understand, if you're in a position, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're in a mental place where you don't understand what it means to be a straight, white, single sex, like me. I'm a straight white guy who's married to a woman who has children. That's my kind of life, You don't have to get it like that. You don't have to understand it. But don't expect people that are in my position, and it's not just the colour of my skin, it's all that kind of description of straight man, woman, whatever, You don't have to understand that lifestyle. You don't. I'm not asking you to understand that lifestyle. I'm not asking you to live that lifestyle. You can live whatever lifestyle you want. You can use sexual perversion, whatever you want, as long as it doesn't involve children. Okay? When you start involving children, you start subtly trying to influence children. That's where I draw the line. I'm disgusted by it. Utterly disgusted. Now let's get back to the plus, okay? There are people within these communities that are the mouthpieces for the communities. Now, as I said, I know plenty of gay people. I don't need to go into my whole background. I know plenty of gay people, trans, you name it. I've got a broad spectrum of friends, okay? I've spent plenty of time in gay bars. It's like I say, I don't live the gay lifestyle, but I understand because I know a lot of people who do, okay? The problem is that you have people that are on the fringe, that really, really fringe thinkers, like really out there that want to change the fabric of our society. And the plus is to add in more sexual inquisitiveness. Maybe that's not the best word, but you get the point I'm trying to make, okay? Another orientation. Is that better? Okay, one of those orientations is bestiality. Where you have sex with animals. They're trying to normalize bestiality. Okay? It's so warped, so bizarre. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I mean, if you want to normalize bestiality, I think there's questions that need to be asked about your sanity. Okay? There's something's gone wrong somewhere in your childhood that makes you want to have sex with an animal. Okay? Look, I love animals. Not literally. In a physical sense, I mean. I love animals. I do. I love them, and I think they're beautiful, but I don't think they're beautiful in such a way that I want to have sex with them. I love children as well. I adore children most of the time, sometimes they'd give me the shit, so I would go away from me, you know. But I adore children, but not in a way that is, you know, any kind of sexual attraction to them, because it's just, how could you harm a child that way? And it is harm, not only physically, but mentally scarring those children because they don't understand. You know, and I remember, who was it? Oh, there was someone doing an interview. I think it was Oprah. Another one of those people. In the Good Club, Oprah, where she said, you know, a good paedophile would be able to abuse a child and the child wouldn't even know. Don't believe what I'm saying to you. Go and find it. It's findable. You can even Google it. It's on Google. Worst case scenario, go to DuckDuckGo. You can't miss it. Oprah saying a good, I think she used the word good, a good sexual predator wouldn't even, the child wouldn't even know that they've been molested. So we're back to the plus, okay? So bestiality was one of those things. Paedophilia was one of the other ones, okay? That's having sex with children. Now, it is utterly reprehensible that people would want to do that. Totally. Completely reprehensible. I find it disgusting. Oh, look, if you look in the background there, you'll see a little deer way back there. It's called a monkjack deer. You see it on the path up there? This is the place I live. It's amazing. So we're going to head up there and see if we can get a little bit closer, but I don't think we will, because me talking is going to scare it off. But utterly reprehensible, wanting to harm children that way. Okay. Now, there's organisations such as NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, NAMBLA. Go and have a look for yourself. That lobbies Congress and lobbies the American government to normalise paedophilia, sex with children. Truly. And it's not just North American Man-Boy Love Association. It is across the board. Here in the UK, there's organisations here that do the same, where they say, well, men should be able to have sex with little boys. It's troubling to me that people would accept behaviour that is soft influence on children, you know, to influence children a particular way. Look, you can't help who you're attracted to. You know, if you're gay, you can't help but be attracted to the members of the same sex. You know, that's how it is. You know, I'm attracted to women. That's my thing. You know, I love women. I love women's bodies. I love women across the board. You know, I can find a man attractive and say that's a good-looking guy. Doesn't mean I want to have sex with him. But this whole fascination with normalising perversions, and they are serious, deviant perversions. If you want to, whatever you want to do as an adult, I don't care. But involving animals or children in your perversion is sick, it's wrong, and it should never be normalised. Ever. You know, and then you've got Netflix did a movie called, I can't think what the bloody hell it was called now, but Cuties, I think it was, something like that, where it was about, 11-year-old girls, and it's just, it's really, really subtle. And all these things start out as subtle. It's a little, oh, but we want just normalcy. We want to be accepted. It's not about accept. I will never accept paedophilia. Ever. And I'm in the majority here. There's certain things that I will accept. I will accept that some people believe that they a man who was born a man. I accept that they believe that they're women. I do. I've got friends that believe that. And that's cool. I accept them. I love them for who they are. But don't ask me to accept paedophilia bestiality or any kind of other thing that involves an innocent victim in this whole thing. And there are victims. The people who engage in this should be and are being locked up. And not just locked up, throw away the key. This should never be accepted in our society. There's sometimes I refer to the Bible, and I know that upsets people because I'm not a Bible basher, I'm not a Bible thumper, I don't attend church, I have a belief in a higher power, higher consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, universal consciousness, I don't care what you call it, but there's certain messages that come through these books, the holy books like the Bible or the different holy books around the world, that these messages come through, and especially in times like we're living in, that are striking. There's the story in the Bible of the Sodom and Gomorrah, where this place where these perversions were just so over the top that it had to be wiped out. And this is what I see is this normalization of this twisted thinking that involves innocent victims. I'm not talking about adults who want to do things to each other. I don't care. I've been there, I've seen it. It's fine if adults want to do it, but don't ask anybody, me or anybody, I don't care who they are, to accept a perversion that involves an animal or a child. So this whole cancel culture of telling us what to think, you must think the same way as me. I'm not asking you to think the same way as me. I'm saying to you, if you want to have equality, which is what we all want love and acceptance means equality. Equal. If we understand the word equal, it means that we're all on the same level playing field, that we're all equal in each other's eyes. If you want to have that, then you can't have unequal rules. Can gay people get married? Whatever, who cares? Yeah, sure, why not? I don't care. If it gives them securities and the same security as a married couple, if one of the partners dies and then the house moves to the opposing partner, that's cool, whatever. But now we see a disturbing trend of the church, changing their rules, but not in a way that benefits anybody. Children are being abused across the board in church organisations. There was a story just recently about 330,000 children being abused by nuns with crucifixes, young girls. Then we have all these paedophile priests who have been found guilty, and yet still the church takes them back and says, oh, we have to protect these people. They don't go to jail. I don't want normalisation of perversions that involve innocent victims, and none of us should. But yet they're using the cover of the LGBTQ plus community to use that community to enforce rules and draconian measures on people about how you can think about what other people do in their own bedroom. Now, as I say, I don't care what other people do in their own bedroom. That's not my bag. Do whatever you want to do. I don't care. As long as it's between two consenting adults, it doesn't involve an animal or a child. And it should never be normalised through any community, that kind of perversion that is sick, twisted, and harmful to all involved. So, I hope that I've got the point across. I hope I've got the message across, that it's not an attack on the LGBTQ plus community, I'm not a transphobe, I'm not a homophobe, but I hope I get the message across to say, what we need to do, I don't care what part of the community you're in, is recognise that there's this subtle push to normalise behaviours that involve innocent people, and that should never be normalised. I don't care what spectrum you sit on, that we need to all oppose that. So, just going to start a bit of a wild debate, so have at it. That's what the comment section's for. You like what I'm doing? Like it. If you don't, hit the dislike. I don't mind. Lay a comment down on me. I try and reply to every comment when I can. I'm very, very busy at the moment, obviously. But I really appreciate you all being here. So if you like what I'm doing, share it. And hopefully I'll get to see you sometime soon. But get out in the world, do some good. do good and be good, and you'll change the world with what we're doing, your thoughts and your actions. All right, look after yourself. Love you lots. I look forward to seeing you soon. Ciao for now.